Hold on a sec. I desperately wish you would have whittled this down for like the moments.
I'm sorry, I can't edit on here. That's why.
Yeah, but you got to get that and actually get that onto like Audacity or something like that. Because from what I heard there, that guy on that thing doesn't even need to apologize. He sounds like a genius who's got a great idea and he knows what's going on. I guess if it's not obvious enough from what came across over that message right there, at the post-show meeting last week, I went on a little tirade and more or less where I attacked everyone else on the show and talked about how cool I was. Was it just what's up?
You should probably turn him down a little bit.
Oh, because Keith is now blasting loud.
Yeah.
So he's trying to make his phone work.
Hello. Yeah. I think you really owe the apology to Brian because you really lambasted him.
Yeah, I really wish you had the audio of me screaming at Brian saying, "You bring nothing. You bring nothing," like a jerk.
Well, actually, it went, "Not to be a jerk," and then you turned and faced him and threw your arms in the air and said, "Have you ever brought anything to the show?"
Were those actual words come out of my mouth?
Words?
Oh, man. Yeah, see,
Wait, come again?
Yeah, but be more dismissive while people are trying to make points during the conversation. You jerk. I was a little bit tipsy, and I was a little bit heated at the fact that I thought we didn't do a great show. It didn't feel like a good show, and we did it. And it's been
documented that it wasn't a very good show.
Well, it was documented on the message board that it wasn't a good show. Then I finally listened to it 2 days ago. I think it's a fun show. I don't think it's an amazing show. I think last week's show was fine. It was absolutely satisfactory at the very least, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Shooting for the stars, we are.
What makes you go crazy, Chris? Like after the show, you either have it's either an indifferent opinion about the show or it's an enraged opinion about the show. It's never like all right, it was good, and I'll take it as that.
No, absolutely. That's absolutely not true.
You
I've definitely walked out of a show and been okay. That was all right. We did okay today. It was nothing to write home about, but it wasn't awful. I've definitely been that. There have been shows that I don't go the extreme. I don't have to be like elated that it's the greatest show ever. It's the worst show we've ever done. Last week, I'm not the only person who at the end of that show thought that we did a bad show. Right?
Everybody. I'm sure everybody.
Well, that was
did.
evident. I think that's what I was saying on the recording. That today nothing worked out at all. Meaning last week, nothing worked out at all. Hopefully I don't listen back ever, so hopefully it's... I'll take your word for it. It wasn't that bad.
It really wasn't nearly as bad as we thought. Don't get me wrong. It was much like the much spoken about, much ado about the big fight between Vito and I on the air a couple of weeks back that never actually happened. It was like a feeling in the room type of thing.
Yeah, it was...
As opposed to being something on the air last week. Now that we have Vito in the studio this week, I would totally love to address this.
Yeah, we started talking about it yesterday, but we just decided to save it. What happened was, we were talking about Heroes, because I actually listened back to it yesterday when I called you. We were talking about Heroes and how, I was
next topic.
How I was explaining that it's basically ripping off another comic book, and you just didn't want to hear that opinion. You were just like, "No, it's great." Blah, blah, blah. And then Keith just out of nowhere just said, "Wow, you're really mean," and that's where it all. I think that I don't even think you were mean throughout the rest of the show, but I think that made us kind of a little more sensitive to it.
Well, because I have a different opinion about a TV show, and I can enjoy a TV show regardless of where it's derivative of, I don't see how that's being a jerk. Maybe I delivered the message a little whimsically, if you will, and you guys took it.
No, it was more probably it was probably more aggressively than whimsically.
I know I'm trying to be a jerk and play it off that.
Wait, I have a recording of that too. Hold on, wait. This one's really fuzzy though. Hold on. Vito, if you ever effing bring up Heroes again, I'm gonna slap you.
Wow. It's a good quality recording. You recorded from the toilet?
No.
My favorite part of that whole thing is male chicken.
I could see where Chris could get upset. He takes this very seriously. I mean, this is his job. Every Sunday he wakes up. Listen, you take it seriously. I understand.
I definitely do take it seriously.
We get paid a substantial amount of money to do what we do every week. We're here to do it. And if it doesn't go right, I know you get upset. I can understand.
I get worried that someplace along the lines, maybe these paychecks are going to get cut off if we stop giving the 125% that our 15 or so, yeah, right, our 6 or so fans that wake up on Sunday morning and listen to us, deserve. I just, what, I do put, we'll make light of it and talk about, whatever, how much we get paid, whatever. I do put a lot into doing this show. I think we all put a lot into doing this show. Last week, when I felt like there could have been more put in by other people when I was not stepping up as much as I usually did, I turned into a psychopath and started screaming at everyone for it. And I was a jerk about it. And it's, screamed at everyone except for Fred, actually.
I know you did. No,
Fred,
there was a point where
Fred could do no wrong.
There was a point where Chris pointed out to everyone. He pointed to Chris. He said, "You bring nothing." He pointed to Brian. He says, "You bring nothing." And then he pointed to me. He says, "You bring nothing." He goes, "Out of 100%, 70% of the time, I bring something. I bring something 70% of the time." What? Say again?
I think he said to you, you bring nothing, and he pointed at you and said, you brought 2 things today, and I was thinking, does that mean, like, good for you? You brought more than these guys, or shame on you? You only brought 2 things.
I only brought 2.
I think it meant both all at the same time. Come on, I was vodka fuel. I was drinking vodka and clam beer.
This is why
I couldn't help.
This is why I think we should at least record the after show and just pretend that there's nothing.
I don't think so. I don't think we should because
it
works best in that situation.
If we know it's recorded, it's gonna temper the reaction. It'll
just be.
You're gonna be tempted to perform.
You think? You really
Absolutely.
think?
That's why I don't do it every week, and that's why I don't. Usually sometimes I'll just like. I'll wink to you that I'm recording it, but like I don't.
As much as it's.
Why can't we just have one mic in the room and just have a room thing?
Because we know that there's a mic in the room. Then, as much as right now we're being real and we're having a real conversation, we are performing for the air right now at the same time. I may or may not act the same way if I know that I'm being recorded. I may go over the top a little bit further. I may not. I don't know.
If he didn't know we were going out over the air right now, he'd be playing World of Warcraft.
Well, he knew.
And by the way, my favorite thing about it is you give a wink to Fred and a wink to Brian. It's basically the set up Chris and listen.
No,
to
I don't tell
Brian.
I don't tell Brian.
He doesn't tell Brian. But you knew that you were being recorded even then. I mean, Keith is on his cell phone pretending to talk.
I take the phone out and I put it next to me on the windowsill. The phone needs some air.
You are so not slick at all, Keith, with that cell phone. Keith is like pretending to talk to somebody, but he's not talking. He's just on the phone, like listening to something.
Well, the thing is, every week at the end of the show, we have this meeting, and this week I even said it to him. I was like, "Hey, man, record it. I don't care. Record whatever you want. I got to say what I got to say."
Exactly, but
that was because I was drunk and on a tirade last week.
I was calling that 1-900 Freddy Krueger line that tells a ghost story.
And then his response was, "Did you hear the one about that nightmare on my street? It was scary." But
the only person that hasn't gotten drunk and gotten into a tirade here is Keith.
Oh,
I mean, everybody's gotten drunk here and gotten into a tirade.
Well, not a show-related one, anyway.
Exactly.
He ripped the telephone book.
I think I
wasn't here though.
Same difference.
It wasn't a library.
I was very. Shh, they're listening. I was very behaved while I was here.
Here's a question for you. Do you think that you got a little more sensitive after Freddie played the thing,
Sensitive, no. Cognizant of how often I say and done. I try to, yes.
No, but I meant
not
like
sensitive,
in reference to the tirade at the end of the show.
No, certainly not.
Really? Okay.
The tirade at the end of the show, I mean, like I said it lightly, said it as a joke before in jest that, well, Freddie, he could do no wrong. Freddie really wasn't the person who I was the most
at odds
with.
I don't mean directed at Freddie. I mean like you just felt like you were like bringing all this
on.
like you were working doing all this work for it and doing all this and that and the other thing, and then all of a sudden the one thing that somebody brought in made fun of you, and it's like wait
absolutely not, absolutely not. No, I despite what everyone would have you believe, I have an amazing sense of humor. I think it's fantastic if people make fun of me as much as they want. I think it's great. One of my favorite moments in show history is Chris has to go to rehab. I love that thing. I think that's one of my favorite things going. I have no problem with anyone saying anything about me. That doesn't make me any more sensitive. If we're going to do anything like this, if there's any sort of plan to try and do this as a career at some point, which who knows if that's even plausible.
Right.
But if there's any thought to do that, you've got to have thick enough skin to not care if people are going to be making fun of you.
Right,
because right now, we're doing this for a bunch of our friends. I mean, granted, there are friends that we've made through doing this that don't even know us personally, but they're like our friends at this point. These are people that are going to be buddies of ours. You got to have a thick skin about this, and you can't really care because there are going to be people that hate you. There are going to be people that attack you. As a lot of members of the show actually know right now, there's some people out there that attack us. I personally have gone unscathed at this point for the most part, but that's just because I'm cool. I have no problem though with any of that. I think
if you're on the show and you're not getting made fun of all the time, it's just real. We're just talking about real stuff. Everyone gets made fun of.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You tell a little something about yourself.